Hi, and welcome to the podcast, Help Me, Rhonda. I'm your host, Dr. Rhonda Karg, and today I have a really special guest, Maria, who is an absolute badass. I only know Maria on the socials, but she and I really vibe with each other, and I love her style and authenticity and courage and willingness to be real with people. And she just lives life in a bold way that I appreciate. It really resonates with me. So I'm really excited to have you here today, and I'm excited to hear more about your story.
Thank you. Yes. Where can we start? So I think we're going to talk about my adoption. So I was born in Russia, in Krasny Kut. And actually, give me a pause. I have something for you. This will be perfect for you guys. This is wonderful. So right here is my Russian passport.
Oh, wow.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to cover that just in case. And this was me.
Oh.
This was me straight out the orphanage. So as you can see, where I'm and where I am now. It's a wild ride, because I was born in Russia, in Krasny Kut, which means red corner. And it's somewhere near Kiev, very close to that area, Saratov Oblast. And my birth mother, she had me in 1990, and my twin. I had a twin that at some point passed, and it's okay. I've accepted that experience. But I recall my very first memory was that of where I had been, what happened was my mother had left me and my twin sister abandoned in negative 30-degree weather with the door open in Russia.
Wow.
Wild, right? And so apparently my grandmother, this is the story, my grandmother found us in the house in this very decrepit place. And she took us to the orphanage. My two brothers, I have two brothers. I don't know their name. But they were 17 and 18, and they left. They had left Russia, or they had left my mother when they were 17 and 18. And the father, we have no idea. I don't know anything about him. My best guess is, because there's no identification, either he's in the mafia or he's just a deadbeat dad, you know? Or he works for the government. One of those things. One of the three things. You can just imagine. I don't know. But my inkling, my intuition tells me he was probably mafia, because my birth mother was, she had multiple illegitimate children. Right? So, and in Russia, that's typically in, consistency to prostitution. And it would make sense. I mean, I feel like that would make sense. But other than that, I was put into the orphanage, and I remember I'd woken up, and I just remember this one glitch, and I was being picked up and being put back into a crib, because I would see that my sister was moved into another crib, and I would move up out of that crib and try to crawl over it and get into hers. They would pick me back up and put me back down. I remember that. And I remember moments where, and it would just be dark. I just can't remember a lot of stuff. I remember being in a shower where they would put scalding hot water. And this is not the kind of hot water you'd want to get under. It's boiling, you know. And back there, they have these huge, round, long tubes of water heaters that flow through the whole entire building. So we'd sit on these areas and we'd wait, and we'd come in. I could even draw it out even for you if you wanted me to. Yeah? Okay. So so there would be a room like this, and we would be sitting up here. So here's the kids. We're just saying that this is a kid sitting here, right there. You could see a kid sitting like that. There's these long bars, and then there's this, it's almost like a cave room, this room of a cave. And inside of there were these spaces that looked like this. And in them were showers. There was a short shower and a long shower and a tall shower for the kids, like that. And I was always put under the short shower. I was too short. I was too tall for the tall one, too short for the short one. So they'd push me up under this one. And they'd force me to like get washed up, and it was so brutally hot. And I just was like, you know, I told my dad, I said, my dad said, what was it like down there? I said, I would not wish it on anybody. And to hear that from my dad as an adult is like, whoa, you know, it trips me out. And so from there, I would endure a lot of hardships like torture, where I would have to kneel on salt and asked to get naked in front of other kids as punishment. I would have to kneel on salt and put my nose on the wall with my hands behind my back for over an hour, sometimes 2 hours. I would get hit with rulers, with shoes. It was very violent. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm maybe 2, 3, 4 years old. We're coming up in that age group, and that's what's happening to me, you know. And but I always, for some reason, was able to discern the difference between good and bad. And inside my head, I was like, okay, there's got to be something good here. But it was just a blank slate for most of the time. And I would be in and out, and I just wouldn't remember. And I would remember things like having to move beds and go into different places, different rooms as I got older. And by the time I was getting ready to go into the bigger girls' room, some people came around and said, hey, there's going to be people here for you. So, oh, really?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And so they'd make me dance, and they'd make me put on some clothes and do certain moves. It's really weird, because all I can think about is this how slaves must have felt? You know, because here I am about to get so I'm sitting here just dancing, trying to be happy when I know I'm certain I wasn't. And I don't remember ever having, I mean, maybe one Christmas that I remember in my head ever having anything like that. Everything else was just dark. It's dark.
Mm.
And one day I remember a woman, this is when the switch turned on for me. When I was like, oh, fuck it. Just, this is life. This is what life is here. This is my consciousness. And a woman had come and brought me a doll and some candy. And I remember the first time I'd remember she'd bring candy, and I was so happy, and I'd look up in her eyes like, that's the woman. Who is that? That's Mama. In my head,
Yeah.
Mama. Automatic.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's Mama. And so she'd come back around again. And then second time she'd bring me a doll. And I thought, thank you so much. It's the only thing I ever owned. I never owned anything. Anything I thought I'd own, I'd get beat for. You know, it was tough. It was really tough. There's scars on my face that I don't remember ever having. Don't know where they came from. But my guess is, you know, from that time. So it's interesting to see that. And I forgive the people that have done that to me. You know, I forgive the kids that would fight me and hurt me. I forgive the little girl Natasha who hid me into a kitchen and said, here's some honey. And I said, oh, honey, honey. Went up on the counter, got up there, started eating it. She locked me in the room. And I got the worst beating of my life. And I was knocking on the window, help, help. Can't get out. They're all at recess or whatever. Playtime. Can't get out. Help. They didn't hear me. And then when they got back, holy shit. It was torture.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
I mean, as you're sharing this story with me, my heart is so broken. And I'm just in shock about what you've lived through. I mean, it's really astounding, and my heart breaks for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've cried plenty about it.
Of course.
You know? But the thing is, that was then, you know.
Yeah.
And I have to maintain the fact that I'm a broken person anymore. Because if I continue to live in that doldrum, I will go crazy.
Yes.
You know? So then I remember the lady came, gave me the doll, and I had to dress up, do all that. I was like, wow, things are looking better finally. And I remember one time we were so hungry, malnourished, that I would hide orange peels under my bed and I'd eat them. And one time I got caught. And so as to not let other kids get in trouble, I put the orange peel somewhere that wasn't anywhere near the kids. I ran right back into my bed. No one got in trouble. I mean,
you remember a lot from your childhood. A lot of people don't really have many memories at all.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like I really have very few memories from my childhood.
Huh. Wow, I thought I had very few.
You've got a lot. So how old were you when you got adopted then? You said 7?
I was 7. And so here's what happened. I was in the middle of class learning the letter D. Duh. And we're sitting there practicing duh. Duh. The girl comes in, she says, hey, Masha, there's somebody here for you. I said, somebody here for me? Yeah. freaking out.
Wow.
Like,
I can't imagine what that
there's
was
somebody
like.
here, and I was like, Mama, Mama, you hear me? And I already know something early.
Yeah.
I go running down. They're like, come on, just slow down, you're gonna hurt yourself. We go down 3 flights of stairs, and I'm running, just, and they're like, hey, these are the people for you. And I got the pictures.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
Ooh, ooh. Okay. Ooh, hello. Da-na-na-na-na-na. So this is, oh shit. Well, I had the pictures. This is the beginning of it all, where they came to get me.
Oh, wow.
This is in Russia. They're traveling on their way here.
Nice.
And this is me.
Wow. Wow. Look at you. Oh, my goodness. The joy on your face is really palpable. I mean, the happiness in you is palpable. I mean, that face. Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like for you. I mean, it's like, wow.
They're good people. So there you go. That was where I lived. That was my bed. Even though I remember that this was the new room that they put me in.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And who are the 2 people in the photo with you?
I don't know. This is my mom, but I don't know this lady. But this was the woman I didn't like her.
Oh, okay.
She beat me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But she was my caretaker. So, but it's okay. Learn to be happy with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the view outside of my place, Russia.
Mm.
Right outside my window.
Mm.
And then me trying to take a photo with my dad's camera, my first picture ever. And this is the woman that got me adopted. She lied to the government about my age in order to give me. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Because
Look at your face. You were such a cutie.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
And then me having a good time. This
I
lady.
bet you. Yeah, go ahead.
This lady took us in, me and my mom and dad, at a little apartment while I stayed there, and they fed me and took care of me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was very scared because I would hear so many noises in that apartment. I'm like, ah! I was freaking out. Didn't know what the hell was happening. And then
So this is while your adoptive parents were there getting your paperwork, getting all your affairs in order. Yeah.
Yep. This is I
Oh.
think this is Saratov. My beautiful parents.
So where did you move to in the U.S.?
To Michigan. So, and I remember that day when we were driving up to the house and just this feeling of like, oh, a new place. And I remembered it very thoroughly. See, this is me traveling.
Oh.
But my mom was like, oh my God, she had a tight grip on me because this was the same time when there was this black man and I was apparently very racist. Flick him off. What the fuck? And then they're like, well, this is Russia for you. Russians don't like black people.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, freaking racist as hell.
Okay.
But I was grateful that when I came to first grade, that my first friend was black. It changed everything for me,
I bet.
and it was
Like,
perfect. My teacher was black, and it was like, okay, there's nothing to fear. We're okay. Good to know.
so how did it, oh, look at you. I bet that's an amazing feeling to be so wanted by your parents
Mm-hmm.
and like to be rescued. That's the kind of thing that kids dream of. Look at you.
With my terrible haircut.
Looks kind of like mine right now. With the baby bangs. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You look so happy. Look at you.
she got me started on art immediately. You see, she started giving me coloring books and everything, and that's changed my life. All of that. As soon as I got home, I started coloring, and we got to home, Michigan.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep. And that's the home.
I bet you've looked at that photo album so many times.
So many. Yes. Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
So
So, yeah. So, what was it like as you started to get older in terms of what what impact did those first 7 years of your life?
it was
What
tough.
impact did that have on your life? Yeah.
It was tough because I was always fighting. Always. The first kid I met in first grade, I bit. His name was Jose. I bit the shit out of him. And then there's this one kid, because I thought everyone was going to steal something from me or take something from me. This one kid, Michael, was going to grab my backpack, and I grabbed him off the freaking backpack and threw him on the ground, started punching him, beat him senseless.
Mm.
I mean, it's crazy to think. I mean, it's terrifying. And the impact of what happened to me as a child was thorough because it landed all the way up until I was out of college. It impacted me so much so that not even I don't think my parents could help. It was that drastically bad, and I feel so terrible for my parents because I can only imagine how stressful that must have been for them. To
Sure.
think that they can't have no control over this one child who's losing her mind, who doesn't know how to communicate, doesn't know how to make friends, who's afraid, who's terrified, and just always fighting.
Mm.
And my dad got to a point, and I'm going to be honest here, my dad got to a point where he'd start smacking me in the face. He would hit me.
Mm.
And although those things happened, I'm going to be very clear that I forgive him deeply because his actions have changed as he's gotten older, and we've matured in our relationship and how he treats me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It got to a point where I was stealing things, always making up fights. There's some sexual issues happening where, because I remembered, when I was 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4, maybe 5, I don't know, but these 2 boys took me into a stall and told me to touch their penises.
Mm.
I remember that. I never told my parents that. But Mom, Dad, if you're listening, that happened. And I'm sorry.
Mm.
So there was a lot of sexual issues I was having,
Mm.
but I wanted to understand it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It got better over time, it's just, but it came to a head for me, it was like, oh, wow.
And that happened to you when you got out of college? You kind of
Hmm.
had a shift in your mindset. Was there something that happened? Like, was there an event, a crisis?
I started dating people that were very, very toxic. The first person
Mm-hmm.
was this woman named Christy, and she was very vicious, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. And I was in college getting drunk all the time. I saw, as soon as I saw my parents drinking, I saw that and I said, that looks delicious. That looks like it should feel good. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to wrap my head around the shit was going on in my head.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Truly, I don't. I look at that, I'm like, ah,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and it breaks my heart because I'm thinking, man, I'm innocent, and this is all the things that happened to me to have gotten to this point, and I still couldn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It broke my heart, and I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a whirlwind. I couldn't stop myself. It was getting worse and worse, and soon it got to a point where I got in a relationship with a woman who was a narcissist.
Oh, I'm
And then I
sorry.
really knew what it felt like to be tortured again. I was like, that is the same shit that I remembered as a child. That kind of fear, it's unmistakable. And
But you know, the thing about a situation like that is I'm sure you've already thought of this because you've done a lot of work on yourself. It's just the idea that when we get hooked in with those relationships with narcissists, when we get hooked in and we get trauma bonded with them, that is based on an actual chemical reaction in our brain. It releases oxytocin, that push pull, the abuse releases oxytocin and it bonds us with them. And especially when we've had trauma earlier in our lives, it's so familiar that in some weird, sick, unconscious way,
we want
we
it.
get out
Yep. Yep.
to have a different ending. We just want to have a different ending. And we will find ourselves recapitulating our childhood trauma at work, in relationships, with friendships. It's
Mhm.
amazing. It is amazing.
Yep. And then I had a switch one time, and I got too drunk. I had almost, the woman that I was dating at the time, the narcissist, I almost got in a car accident in a way that probably would have landed us in jail or something. But by the grace of God, all it did was give me 2 flat tires.
Mm.
And that was enough. I said, okay, something's got to change.
Mm-hmm.
Not to
Mm-hmm.
mention cocaine, too much. So, okay,
Mm-hmm.
gotta
Mm-hmm.
end it. All of this has got to go. Done.
How long ago was that, Maria?
4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Okay. Well, congratulations. That's really, I mean, it's, I, yes, I mean, I've been sober for almost 16 years and it's really tough. Getting sober was one of the hardest things that I've done.
Yeah, I had some help. I went to NA meetings when I was in college, or
Mm-hmm.
AA meetings, trying to work
Mm-hmm.
on my problems.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel right. I always ended up going back to the bottle. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had some friends, and I met some burners. Something happened.
Oh,
I met some burners. I met my friend Gabby Stewart, one of my closest familiars, and Lucy Weaver. Oh my God, that girl! She could donkey punch the shit out of me with some truth, and that was enough. But she loved me anyways, and she showed me the resilience of care alongside boundaries. And then I met a woman named Sunny Minot, and she helped me out with a few things as well. Then those included boundaries, personal space boundaries,
mm-hmm.
and that helped a lot too. So I had to learn about space, and all within that year of working on trying to get sober, working on trying to quit drinking. I was also learning how to have friends, because I wasn't having friends in college. I mean, they were, but they weren't, you know, it was just because we're in school.
You know, another interview that I did with someone this week was the last podcast that I published this week before this one. And he was talking about how his, like, a shift in his mindset really happened as a result of his experience in the Burning Man community and the local burners, and that radical inclusion and what that meant for him. And I remember going through something similar to that, where I was part of this spiritual community, and the people that were part of it is basically like a bunch of hippies, really, you know. And there were sweat lodges, and but they were just like really cool, very loving, very compassionate people that just loved me in a way that I had never experienced before. It was like this acceptance and inclusion, and yeah, really, it did. It had it, and I got sober not long after that.
And it helped so much. You know, I know that there's a lot of people that say, you know, burners, all they do is do drugs and fucking party. But you know what? I don't think that's all it is. Because many of us work really, you know, many of us work really hard to change ourselves. And I'm watching it as, you know, and, you know, I had to become the catalyst for myself. I was watching my friends, they weren't ready at the time. But I was like, I'm ready. I can't do this anymore. I need to change. I started taking therapy, and I got cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I got child trauma healing therapy. So we did some real deep psyche work where we went in and talked to the inner children of my. Holy cow. They were desperate.
That is where it's at, sis, is healing those wounded parts of us big time.
So I started doing, and most importantly was the accountability. My choice to finally become accountable for my actions. My choice to finally become accountable for how my actions or the things I would say would affect people. And become conscious, truly conscious of who I was involving myself with. And as soon as I started seeing those shifts, I started believing again. I started believing that there's something more to life than just this, whatever we are in this plane. I started believing in God. I started meditating, and meditating more than anything was my lifesaver. It's a huge lifesaver. It absolutely cleared so much crap out of my head.
That's amazing.
And I took some friends. It took a lot of friends being there for me. And then it's also took me getting rid of a lot of people too. Having to learn how to set boundaries. And then I started talking to Holly Hamill. She done did me good. I'm telling you, one of the best life coaches I've ever had. She is
amazing.
Clear.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent. I'm happy to hear that.
She's good at what she does. And she helped me go through the trauma of my childhood, siphon through all the pain of my hatred for my mother, my birth mother. I had a profound hatred for that woman, like to the point that I was like, fuck her. Right. You know? And then I was realizing, and she taught me, you know what, fuck you, fuck me. I met this woman named Donna. She was a yoga teacher. She said, fuck you, fuck me, you know? Oh, I guess you're right. You got one hand on the trigger, but the rest are pointing back at you, you know?
Right. So yeah, it is. It's so incredible. It feels almost like a miracle, doesn't it, when you forgive your parents? you feel like it'll never happen, and then one day all of a sudden maybe you realize that you've had a shift, and maybe your perspective has changed, and maybe you recognize that your parents also had parts in them that were wounded that needed
Of
care,
course.
needed
That's
attention.
it.
Those parts of them were the parts that abused us.
Mm-hmm.
Those wounded parts of our parents were the parts that abused us. And when we're grown and we've done our own inner work and we recognize, like, oh, I have shadow parts, my parents had shadow parts, and start treating yourself with more compassion.
Yeah.
It feels like when you have that shift in the way that you think about yourself, it almost is easier to be compassionate with the people who have hurt us.
And there's also the profound understanding of shame.
Yes.
Making sure that you don't allow this repetitive world of shame and victimization
Yes.
maintain itself here, because when we constantly victimize ourselves, well, poor me, we're not fucking solving the problem. We're just maintaining the relationship with being a victim and the problem itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where are we going? We're just a hamster on a hamster wheel,
One of the most violent traumatic events that I have lived through directly was a time in my life that I realized, having survived that I was a real badass. I didn't feel like a victim. I was like, damn, you did that? You got through that?
Yeah.
That was some badass shit right there. And it's been a ride ever since then. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, what happened to me. But for some of us, that trauma and that adversity serves to catapult us and move us forward in a way that gives us an advantage. And we're still learning. We're still learning about what makes someone resilient like you and can thrive in the face of adversity, and people that can't, because so many can't. I mean, you're one of the very lucky ones. I am too.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
I think the thing that I can say is you knowing that you have willpower.
Mm-hmm.
You have choice in everything you do. Everything. And you have accountability to build on that. So that when you are creating your forward path, you must know exactly what you're doing for yourself and do so with kindness and love, while also respecting the boundaries of the people around you. But not so much so that you're groveling in front of people, but so much so that you are sitting in your own power and you say, this feels right. And knowing what's a fuck yes and a fuck no inside of yourself will help you lend you towards the direction. And a lot of people struggle to listen to their intuition because we're so mathematical. We're like logic here, logic there. I'm so, yes, logic is great, but it's stiffer than shit. There is no room for growth in logic.
It's a good point. That is a very good point.
So if we can sit down and say, well, I have this choice. How can I mold myself to be the person I want to see in my future? And visualize.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to hear your thoughts on, is manifesting, because you and I definitely are on the same page about that. And I love hearing you talk about manifesting. It gets really excited. Yeah, I love it.
Manifesting. That's a really unique thing. Holly Hamill helped me through this. And also I went through the GIST program just to do it the one time. I chose not to maintain the relationship with the GIST people, but I did the Let's Get Yourself Together challenge. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I'm going to write it down.
It's the volcanoes, but Get Yourself Together challenge. with Rosie, Volcano, and Kit. It helped me out too. Now, mind you, it's expensive. If you want to do BizCraft, do BizCraft. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to put down $8,000 on something, put down $8,000 on something. But if you don't feel right, don't feel pressured to do it. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Don't feel pressured to do something you're not ready for. Mm-hmm. But you'll learn a lot from the GIST challenge, because it's only like what, $15 or whatever, $21, just to do it for a 3-day period of so-called classes and Zoom meetings, and you learn a lot.
Okay.
The little bit that I learned, I fucking Zoomed after that. That's all it took.
I'm checking that out. I'm going to check that out.
It did help. So I do want to give credit to Rosie and Kit for that. But the rest of it is on you, because the rest of it is your mind change and neurolinguistic programming. How are you going to program your mindset to go from saying, oh, I can't do this, to yes, I can, and how am I going to do this? What opportunity do I see in this particular moment? What am I learning from this? Versus, well, fuck, this don't work. I guess I'll just keep doing the same shit. That's so depressing.
Yeah, speaking of, sort of about you and I having a negative reaction to anything that smacks of victimization, that just doesn't resonate with us. I'm not trying to do that, neither are you. But people recognizing, like, I help people recognize that regardless of what happened to you in your childhood, you are responsible 100%. You are 100% responsible for your behavior today. And
how you move forward.
And recognizing that, putting your health and well-being first.
Get yourself away from the people that are detrimental to yourself.
Absolutely.
I had to move from Knoxville because I was like, even though I love the people are great. I am just not in the same place. And I had to leave. I said, this is killing me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it anymore. Overworked and just tired, not taking care of myself. And parts of it is owning that I was making those decisions because I'm the one that was putting myself through that. So I said, okay, I'm calling my dad. I called my dad and said, I need your help. I need to get This is not okay. Mm-hmm. I need help. I need to get, because otherwise I was going to move somewhere else on my own accord somehow, some way, but it was not going to be me staying in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm. But watching you manifest this thriving business as an artist is really, that's another thing about you that is so inspirational. Like, that gets me juiced up, because when I see people manifesting a wonderful life for themselves, like I feel like I have, and I got a lot of help along the way. This isn't just
right.
me
Absolutely. You get a lot of help.
I've had to work hard. I still work hard. I work until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I still work hard, but I work hard because it feels good. It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it feels happiness. It feels like happiness. You follow your joy.
Right.
I started following my joy. I started working for a woman named Eugenia Almeida, and she is a faux finishing woman, one of the kindest and very, very real women. But she is a matriarch in my life, and so I always looked up to her, even though I couldn't quite get along with the team, because me, I'm very Maria, and bold and in my own self, and that can be a little terrifying for some people, or just very out there. It's too much for some people. But on the upside of this, I learned a great deal on how to find joy in what I was doing. Because when I started faux finishing and putting the plaster on the walls, I was like, whoa, this is nice. This feels like home. else feels like home. And then I
Oh,
start following this place of, does this feel like home? No. Okay, I'm not doing that. And then setting the boundary. You have to set a boundary with yourself. No one else is going to set the boundary for you. You got to be like, no, no. Learn to say no to yourself.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, there is something that I tapped into last summer. I had, like a lot of people, gained a bunch of weight during COVID. Didn't even realize, because I'm not a weight conscious person and I'm a big girl. I'm 6 feet tall and just not really worried about it. But one day I had to log into my patient portal and my weight was just like pretty much flashing in my face like a neon sign. And I was like, whoa, that's not healthy. And so I was like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I developed this tool that I call my body double, which is basically like an exact replica of you that's just like 6 feet away, that you can kind of like holographic version of you that you can queue up and say and be like, whatever you want, whatever you need to hear. If you need validation, be your own therapist. If you
yes,
need
exactly.
motivation to
That's
work
it.
out,
Yeah. You have an
my
older
body
self.
double, yeah, my body double that was like, as a fitness coach, was like, I know you've seen 10 patients today, but you're going to go upstairs, you're going to get changed, you're going to get into your exercise clothes, and you're going to work as hard as you can for 90 minutes, and then you're going to feel amazing. So let's go. And like immediately, I did not even pause. I would get done working immediately. And people don't recognize the power that we have with our own mind. Our mind is the most powerful thing in the universe.
It is. That's the thing. We can create whatever we want in this world. And that's the thing.
Yes.
And no matter what, don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to nobody. Listen to yourself. Yourself is, you have the compass within you to know where you've got to go. You know what I'm saying? And there's a higher self of you out there. While there's also the inner children who can help to some degree, but mind you, they are still your inner children. They're still got this damaging report part of them. So you know, don't just take like specks and pieces, but take the parts of joy that they have and work with that. And then work with your higher self. Imagine yourself. Who are you when you are going to be older? What do you see in your body? And then project that back into your body. You say, this is me. And then start working on those parts that you want to shift. Get a personal trainer. Stop smoking weed. I don't freaking know. Quit drinking alcohol. Call your friends if you're struggling. You know? But be responsible for you. And that's part of manifestation. You have to be responsible for you.
100%. And also, don't make other people responsible for your feelings. Like,
Right?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know, but I did it for a long time, I can tell you. I mean, you know, rather than recognizing that I had
It's
parts
your
of me
fault. Yeah, no, fuck that.
that,
And
I somehow would resent my partner for hurting my feelings and things like that. And instead of recognizing, like, wow, that's because I have a wounded part that is hurting
and also
me.
learning to communicate to the person. NVC, nonviolent communication.
Yes, absolutely.
That helped me out a lot. And also learning, there's this one modem I learned. This was from the volcano challenge. And it's, what is it? First you observe. Offner statement. You want to learn an Offner statement with the communication of somebody. If something's happening and you're triggered, and you said, this is happening and I'm feeling this. So first you say, well, I'm noticing this is what I'm seeing from you.
Right.
That I'm feeling this way. I feel really stressed. I don't like how this is impacting my feelings. And now I feel this and I recognize I'm feeling this. Then you have your needs. Well, I have a need for this. And then you requested rather than order them. You say, well, I would like to ask you if you if you would be capable of doing this. If not, then how can I shift myself around?
I like that. I like that.
Lot to learn. I learned a lot of this in fucking 4 years. 4 years. 4 years of learnings.
Amazing. I got to get out and come visit you sometime.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, I just absolutely, we didn't even get a chance to talk about the tarot cards. We didn't get a chance to talk about, I'm going to have you back for another podcast. That's all.
We can do that. We can definitely do that. And we can go deeper on manifestation, whatever you feel is good.
I like the way that you break things down to the molecule. I like that. I try to do the same thing in my life, and it's really refreshing. Yeah. It's really refreshing.
Yeah. People got to know. Can't be missing pieces. You're like, well, how do I do this? Well, I can't do it if you don't have the little parts, you know. Machine can't work without the parts. But life is good now. You know, I take accountability. That's all it took. I started changing how I spoke to people. I started recognizing people's feelings a little bit more, rather than being in my doldrums of pain. I'm over that. It's done. It's done. We're done. We can relax a little. Enjoy what's coming in. Have gratitude. Find the little things in life. Take advantage of that. And then give back where you can.
Absolutely. I agree with you. That there's a lot of joy that comes from helping other people, getting outside of yourself, being of service. One of my AA sponsors used to call it bringing a bouquet, which is basically like, instead of thinking about what you're going to get out of a situation, think about, what can I bring? How can I make other people's days brighter, better?
Yeah.
And if you have that mindset and you go to Trader Joe's and you're looking for opportunities to make other people's days brighter, you'll leave there with a totally different vibration than if you're in there, I got to get in and out in 15 minutes and do my shopping for the whole week.
That's exhausting.
Then you're running.
I just want to dance in the aisles.
But really, if you live your life with that mindset of how can I make other people's days brighter? I mean, obviously you're going to put yourself first.
Yeah, in many ways, but also be willing.
Yes, be willing to make other people's days brighter and get outside of yourself, and it really does help you to feel better. It helps your self-esteem. If you want to have self-esteem, do esteemable things.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming today, and I'm really excited about this, and I am even more in awe and inspired by your story, having even heard more of it today. You are really a great example of how a person can thrive in the face of adversity. Says a lot about your strength, your character, your willingness to take 100% responsibility for your life and make it what you want it to be. It's amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for that reflection. I really appreciate hearing that. That really gives me gratitude and a sense of well-being in my heart.
Oh, good. Yeah,
it's nice. The affirmation reaffirming that what I'm doing is exactly where I need to be, and I already know it. It's nice to hear it from someone else.
And because of what you've got going on, and because your vibration is so high, I think that also draws people to you. And I think that's another reason why manifesting works, is because you change.
Yeah. It's
you
that
become a different person.
But while you're in that process, when you're first learning to manifest, you will manifest not just the people that you need in your life, but also the people you don't need. So there will be plenty of time for you to learn to differentiate between yes and no. So take the opportunities to hear the no in your stomach. You will know there's just this there's a feeling you get. You know, you got to learn to listen to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's our wisdom. For sure.
Right. Your ego, which is all thought and all that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing yourself with me today and with the other listeners today. I hope
You're
you'll share that. I hope you'll share this with the people in your life that have earned your
Absolutely.
trust. And do you have any contact information if people want to get in touch with you or see your
Yes.
art or other?
Yeah.
And you're a life coach too, aren't you?
I did life coaching for a little while, but because of my full-time art position now, I don't really, I coach art now. So, and that's a little different. I can life coach. I don't mind. I'm $100 an hour.
Okay.
So freaking easy, but I'm good at what I do.
How can people get a hold of you? I'll
So
put that, actually, I can put your information in the link in the description for the
Perfect.
video.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can just tag my Instagram, The Perception of Masha.
Okay.
Or Maria LaFlame. It's Maria _La_ Flame.
Okay.
That's my stripper name. I'm kidding. Kidding. Lord, help this child. Anyways, I love it. So, or you could just find me on Facebook with Maria Campbell. That'll be fine. You can just contact me that way. All is good. Yeah.
And you do tarot cards too, and I can say
Do
from
tarot
personal
cards too.
experience that you do an amazing job with that. It's definitely worth it. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
hit her up for some tarot card readings. $5 a card. Okay. It was great.
Tip accepted.
It was fun to hang out with you today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Rhonda.
again.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.